coaching. Now, for the club, it's obviously I've been coaching here at U of A for the last 8 years. I'm the coordinator there. But I want everyone to know that I was also on the men's side for 6 years. So it's not just on the women's side. I coached for 5 years on the men's side in Division I and Division II, with 3 of those being a recruiting coordinator. And then now on the women's side, I was there for another 11 to 12 years. So I've been there for a long time. I've seen it, done it, but I have both perspectives on it. So the idea is to help everyone ease the tensions, calm people down about it, because it can be daunting, it can be intimidating as you go through it. But I want to be a resource to help everybody and help you through it as much as I can. So it's really about being informed and moving forward as we go through the process together. So what I want to do now is I want to share my screen with everyone so we can go through it. I have a bunch of slides that I'll go through. If you have questions, put it in the chat, or just remember them and we'll bring them up at the end and we'll go through a lot. Just know that we will have more of these. So we will have specific stuff where we will go into detail in other areas of the recruiting process. So we will make sure we can do as much as we can to keep informing everyone. Okay, hope everyone can see this. Dave, we got it?
It looks good to me, Paul.
Okay, so here we go. So obviously, we'll get into the recruiting process. I want to make sure that we're knowing what's happening for NCAA, NJCAA, NAIA. They're all different levels. They're all different schools. I want everyone to know that there's a right fit for everybody. So as we get started with this, it is, there's a university and a soccer program for everyone. So that. We can find, there's so many different avenues that be able to find it, but it starts with the players and the families. So it starts with you guys. You have to be proactive. All right. It's really all about you guys in your recruiting process. There's the old myth out there that the coaches are just going to come find me. Well, that doesn't happen for 90% of the student athletes. If you're on the national team, yeah, guess what? They're coming. They know where you're at and they're going to come recruit you and stuff like that. But for everyone else, we have to be proactive. We have to take the initiative. We have to be the ones that are taking ownership and hold of our process to make sure that we find the right fit and that we have our journeys awesome. And so that's on us. It's not just the player. It has to be, the families involved too, and us as a club and our coaches. So have to know this. You have to go into it with an open mind that every player's journey and timeline is different and unique. Everyone wants something different. They all are looking to study something different, to go to a different level, be it whatever school you're at. Like if school comes first, if soccer comes first, like everyone's unique and it's different. Sometimes players get swooped up. The top goal scorer in the country gets swooped up their sophomore, junior year of high school, and other ones find the right fit their senior year. And it's okay. Like everyone needs to know that. Like your journey is going to be your journey. It's not your teammates. So if your best friend on your team is already committed, you shouldn't be freaking out saying, I'm missing out, my window's closing, because there is a right fit out there for you. We just have to go find it and be proactive in that search. Don't let like I was just saying, don't let their recruiting process influence your path. Like there's a lot of families I've heard through this, like, oh no, I think I'm too late. Like it's too late. I've started too late. You haven't started too late. When you start is when you start. And when you find the right school for you, it's when you find the right school for you. And there's so many different things and aspects and pieces that fall into place where it happens one way for one player and another way for the next. So you just have to make sure that you are taking ownership of it as you do this, and don't let your teammates, your best friend from school, the team, anything else influence what you're doing. And this is a little different one. So the recruiting process is about selling your brand. This is about you. So this is, you're putting yourself out there, not as just a soccer player. First is a person. So this is your brand. You are your brand that you are selling to the universities, to the coaches, to first get on a squad, be on the roster, get a scholarship, whatever you're looking to do and try and need as you go through this process. But it's all about your brand. So it comes first as who you are as a person is super important. Second is what you do in school as a student, because it's all about student athlete. And I know everyone's heard it. Student comes first, athlete comes second. So it's super important that your grades and what you want to do as a student is part of your brand. And then obviously being an athlete, a student athlete, is part of that brand and what you do on the field. But you're selling all that to the coaching staffs, to the schools, to see if you're going to be a right fit. Schools are now looking through a lens of, does that player, do they represent what we want at our university, at our school, at our college? If any of those three don't line up, like it's not the right personality or not the right student or not the right player, like it can deter that and change it. So it's all about your brand of you as a player as you go through this process. Dave, did that change? Did your screen change?
It did not.
Yeah, mine didn't either. There we go. Okay, first thing you have to do as we start going through this is do our research. Like you have to do your research to find the right fit. You got to be able to get online. You got to get on the websites. You got to do everything possible to learn as much as you can about what you want for yourself. Is it big school? Is it small? All that stuff goes into play. So it is the first thing you have to do is, what do you want as your education? By far the most important. First thing you do when you're starting this, find the right school for you to study. All right. There's so many things that people say out there, like you got to make sure you're at the right school. So if soccer's not going well, or you get hurt, or those things happen, like you're at the school that you want to be at to study what you want to study moving forward. Because I mean, college is just a small piece of what your life is going to be. So you need to make sure you're getting the right education and the right path as you're moving forward. So you need to learn which universities and colleges have what you want to study, and know this, you might not know what you want to study yet. So it could be broad. So it could be schools that have a bunch of majors are important for you, and you don't just narrow it down to one. Or you definitely know what you want to study and you say, I'm doing this path, I want to study this. Then you start researching all those schools that you like that have that education or degree plan. Figure out what size school do you want. Do you want a large, medium, or small school? It's super important. They're all different, like really different. And it doesn't, like, people get caught up all the time in big, large power schools, but there are so many different bonuses and positives of the smaller and medium-sized schools that you need to know. So you need to do the research and find out about them. Where do you want to go to school? Where do you want to live? What part of the country do you want to be in? Do you want to be West Coast? Do you want to be up north in the cold weather? Do you want to be in a college town? Do you want to be in a big city? All those things play into effect as you're starting your research. Like, start to figure that out. And you might not know, and it's okay. So you start to like schools that have a little bit of everything or a big variety, which is fine. And so you want to make your top 10 list first on the education. Like make a list strictly on schools that you want to go study at. That's the first thing you do before you add soccer. All right. Because then the second piece will be the soccer program. All right. So now do your research. You have this top 10 list. Do a research now on the soccer programs. Learn about the teams. Learn about the players that are there. Learn about the coaches. Try to find out as much as you can about the culture of the program. You can do that online. You can do that by watching them on TV when they're playing. You need to decide on what kind of level of competition do you want. Do you really want to focus more on just the school and soccer not be as heavy? Like, then you look at Division II, Division IIIs, NAIs, like those kind of levels are where, like, school first. If you want to go Division I, you do a balance of both. Like, now I want to be able to focus on soccer as a major priority with my education. So you have to decide on what you want out of, your college, 4 years. Like, are you looking for, like, to win a national championship? Like, well, then you look for schools that have opportunities at their different levels to win national championships. Do you want to be an All-American? Do you just want to find a team that you absolutely love? Like, those are all the things you start to look at in that soccer program. Best way to do it, and we all do it, get on social media, follow their Instagram, get on there, make sure you're learning as much as you can about them. Follow the coaches, the players, and stuff like that, so you can see what it looks like on the inside of the program. Do you like the people there? It's super important. The culture of the program is really, really important. Make a top 10 list now of soccer programs. Okay. You're going to make a list of education, of the schools themselves, and then you're going to make a list of the soccer programs. Okay. Know this, your lists will be changing. You'll be reevaluating. There's going to be schools that come on your list. There's going to be schools that come off your list. Like it's going to happen. And you need to keep doing that. You can't just have your top 10 list and it be there. And it's like, oh, these are my top 10 schools. Like there's a school might not be interested, and it's okay. You move on and you'll add another one because a school will come out and really like you. And you need to make sure that you keep reevaluating those lists and making those lists as specific to you and for you and your family as possible, so you have the right fit. Okay. I'm going to say this multiple times through the meeting. The most important person going through this for you to help you, your biggest resource right now is going to be your club coach. All right. Or your high school coach. Like your coaches are the most important person right now, because they're going to be the ones that are going to help give you advice on tell you what level you're at. You should definitely be playing Division II. Like these are the schools that we should be going after, and it helps you create your list. So it's not you all of a sudden just want to go to Stanford and North Carolina and all the best teams in the country that might not be, a school that's even in your realm, to be totally honest. And so it's the best thing, like that honesty from your club coach is needed. So it can help you find the right fit for you. And it might be, you might say, I want to go to Stanford. And they go, yep, absolutely. And then your club coach should be doing work for you and talking to those coaches for you to find out if they're interested or not too. So your club coach should be the one that's going to be your biggest resource as you go through this and you make your lists and you try to cut your list down and decide on what's going on moving forward. Cool. All right, let's go by the numbers now. Let's learn a little bit about it so we can find out more about college soccer. You got men's and women's. You obviously will start with on the men's side. So you look at the numbers from Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, and obviously the junior college. And you'll see the teams, 205 Division 1 men's teams, 214 2, 415 Division 3. But the key thing is then to look at the scholarships. So we all know, we're all informed. Everyone thinks that they're going to get full rides on scholarships and stuff like that. But you can see right there, you have a Division 1 men's team. There's 205 teams. You have about 29 guys on a roster. And they have to divide up 9.9 scholarships. So we're not a head count sport. All right. Like football gets straight full ride or nothing. Like they get the full scholarships because they're a head count sport. So is basketball. We now we're equivalency sports. So you now divide up those 9.9, however you have to be able to make your roster happen. So if we need 29 guys on a roster, we have to divide it up with 9.9 scholarships. So that means you're going soccer scholarships is what you're looking at, 9.9, but then you can add in academic scholarship that the school can offer you. And then you can look at financial aid that the government will be able to offer you, that you can try to build as much as possible to help. But you can see here, like 29 guys are on 9.9 scholarships. That doesn't equate very much. I mean, that's hard. Like earning a scholarship is something that is definitely some hard work. You have to go through it, but why we have to stay on being proactive and taking care of our journey ourselves to be able to make sure we can earn those scholarships in the end. Division 2 have 9. Now, you also need to know not every school has that. Not every school is fully funded. So especially in Division 2, I know you can have a program. I worked at a program in Florida that was not fully funded. We had 5 scholarships for our roster. Now our roster was a little bit smaller because of that. We had 25 guys on it, but we had 5 scholarships to divide up in there. So, you need to find out. Most Division 1 programs are fully funded. Division 2, it could be or could not be. Division 3 has 0 athletic scholarships for soccer. It all comes down to academics, where you'll see that's where Division 3 definitely focuses all their attention. NAIA has 12 scholarships. And NAIA obviously has different rules in the NCAA. And then you have the junior college NJCAA, which has 17 scholarships, but they can only divide it up over 24 players. If I got that right from Dave, which obviously Dave and Hobby will be our point people for that on the NJCAA. They're the pros on that. They'll be able to tell us everything, but you have 17 scholarships that you can only divide up between 24 players, where in NCAA, you can have as many players as you have on a roster on money if you need to. So we'll look at the women's game. The women's game now has a lot more teams, as you can see in there. Division I, 333. That's a big difference than on the men's side. All right. They also have more scholarships. So you have more teams that are offering more money, which makes it a little bit easier on the women's side to be able to find a school that is the right fit for you, because there are more options. There are less men's teams, more women's teams, and it's just the way it is. And so we have a lot more work on the men's side that you have to do to be able to find the right school, because there are less teams. But you can look through it on the women's game over here, and you can see the different numbers. There are definitely a lot more teams. So now we have an idea there of what it looks like for each division, the numbers, the scholarships, roster sizes, as we now move forward. Okay, this is the important part now. Like, how do I get noticed? So proactively reach out to college coaches and send updated schedules. When you should not wait until you're able to actually communicate back and forth with a college coach. Whenever you start your process right away, you should be reaching out to the colleges in your top 10 list. So if you have your target list that you like, reach out to them, send them emails. All right. You should be sending them emails all the time about updated schedules, what's going on, what's happening, over and over again for the schools that you're interested in. Your initial email should be personal and stand out. You should make it so they have to read it. All right. One of my favorite recruiting emails I ever received as a coach, she sent a video of herself. All right. This is when I was at U of A. She sent us a video of herself playing the violin and juggling a soccer ball at the same time. I promise you. And it's quirky, right? It's different. And I watched it. I read the whole email, and I actually recruited her, and she came and played at U of A. So those kind of things like stand out. How are you going to make yourself stand out? Make sure your email is personal when you're sending it to these coaches. Do your research. Make sure it's the right coach still. There's coaching changes all the time. If you send it to the wrong coach, I promise you it's getting deleted. Make sure that you in there are following them. So in your email, you say, great win last night, coach, or all those things, like to make it personal and stand out. Like they need to be able, if you have a legacy in your family, someone that's gone to school there, if you've already been accepted, if you don't need scholarship, all those things, like make it stand out, make it personal, especially when you first start reaching out to the coach. Club teams, now this is on us, and as coaches, we need to make sure we're attending the college showcases and the elite tournaments. We need to be in front of the college coaches. All right. You need to figure out what tournaments we're going to, figure out what coaches now are going to those tournaments. If you get online, you can always find which coaches and which teams are going there. Now, some of the top schools don't necessarily always register that they're going to be there, but I would guarantee 85% of college coaches will let you know that they're going to be at that event. So they're going to be there. They're going to be at the fields. They're going to be having an idea of, like, you send them an email. I got it. I know your schedule. I'm going to be there, but we need to make sure that we are at these college showcases and at these tournaments in front of the college coaches that are there on the sidelines. All right. It's how we get seen. Now, the pandemic's changed everything right now, right? So the college coaches can't be there, and we'll get into that a little bit later. There's a dead period. So they're not going to be at the fields, but I promise you they're watching. They want to watch your videos. They want to watch your live streams. If you're at the next tournament, you're at the President's Day tournament, Del Sol's President's Day tournament, like hopefully it's live streamed. If it's not, then you need a video of every single game you're in to be able to send to these coaches. All right. They got to be able to see you, and that's how they're going to notice you. And you're going to put that in your emails left in, like, every single time. Off of those top 10 lists, that target list that we talked about, you need to start attending those ID camps now. All right. You have to attend the ones that you want to go to school to, though. All right. You need to reach out to them. You need to let them know that you're coming to their college ID camps once they start again. Obviously right now most of them are shut down with the pandemic, but Once it gets back into some normalcy, you need to go to those and you need to be in front of them, in front of the coaches. You need to be able to talk to the coaches. You need to be able to converse with them. They need to get to know you as a person. They need to be able to see you as a player, but they also need to coach you. It's one thing to go out and as a college coach and go watch and evaluate you on the field. It's another thing for you to be at their camp and they get to coach you personally in their session to see if they like that. All right. To see if they like how you are as a player. Need to be a good student. Got to be a good student. You have to be a good teammate. They're watching that. All right. They're watching not just if you score goals, not just if you make saves, and all that stuff's fantastic and super important, right? As a player, but they're watching to see how you are as a person again. Like we said earlier, are you a good teammate? Are you a good student? They're going to look to see what you are because you have to have all these NCAA requirements to be able to get into school, to be able to get accepted to their school or earn academic scholarship, which will help on top of the soccer scholarship that they could try to package for you. But they want to know that you're a good student, that you're driven, not just as a soccer player, but in the classroom and also being a good person. Are you making your mom and dad carry your equipment off the field? Are you not listening to your coach at halftime? Are you throwing a tantrum because you're down 4-0 at half? Like all the coaches see that. They're noticing that. So you need to make sure we're being positive in all those areas. Need to work hard to be elite in one area. Like if you're a goal scorer, be the best goal scorer in the country. And you emphasize that. If you're a midfielder and you connect every single pass and you never give the ball away, like we need to emphasize that. And those qualities are what will stand out right away and help you get noticed on the field. Like have to be elite in one area. Do you have to be elite in all of the areas? No, because you'll probably be on the national team if you're that way. All right. But at least be elite in one area. You and your coach decide you're really good at heading. Awesome. In the women's college soccer, they love players that can head it because the ball's in the air a lot more. Like emphasize that. Be really good at it. Be the best. All right. And you'll get noticed right away. I promise. Build that relationship with your club coach. All right. Like I said already, they are your biggest resource. They are going to help you through this more than anybody. Besides your family first, but you need your resource and they are the liaison. They're the connect to the college coaches. So they can reach out to the college coach whenever, all the time. Now they're limited on what they can say when you're sophomore or freshman to the college coaches, but they can talk to them. They can listen. They can tell the college coach what they think of you or find out if there's any interest there at all and helps you move forward to find that right fit. But build that relationship, ask them for your help, keep staying on top of them. They have obviously a lot of players on the team, and multiple teams. So it gets daunting at times, but just keep asking them and keep asking for help and finding out about different schools. I promise they'll do it for you. That's what we're here for. We're here for you guys. All right, rules and regulations. This is not the fun part, but this is things that mom and dad and families need to know because it will help you as you go through this because there are different rules that are in place. So first one right now, obviously NCAA Division I is in a dead period currently until April 15th of 2021. That's for the pandemic. So because of that, everything has gone virtual. So they are watching live stream of games. They're watching whatever they can. If you can send them video, I know us as a club, a lot of the teams all video all your games, like send them those stuff, like give it to them. They need to see you playing. They need to watch you. They're never going to make a decision on you if they can't see you play. So you need to make sure that we're getting all that stuff to the coaches as much as you can. Highlight videos will help. It's an initial interest. It sparked my interest on a highlight, but they want to watch full games. They want to see what you're going to do in a game. So with this dead period now, you need to make sure that we are getting them as much as we can of games because they can't go to the field right now. They can't go evaluate you. They cannot get out there and sit on the campus on the sideline. Now, other divisions can. Division II, III, and NAIA and junior college, they can all go. Division I cannot. All right. So they're in a different realm right now where they can't do that until at least April 15th. And it keeps getting pushed back where it's fluid right now, right? I mean, you never know, like it's a revolving door with these rules, like the NCAA keeps changing them. So we have to make sure that all of us as a club, coaches, and our families and parents and players are on top of it. So we know what's happening. So that also means no on-campus recruiting right now. And so a lot of people that are juniors and seniors that are getting close and want to make decisions, it's tough because you cannot go on campus with the coaching staff. Now, you can still go on campus. There's still visits. You just have to do it on your own. So there's other ways you can go, and they can talk to you on the phone and help tell you where to go and set it up and make it kind of an itinerary of what you should see and not to see. You just cannot meet with the coaches while you're on campus. You're not allowed to do that. So that's as of right now. So it could change. Obviously, as of April 15th, that could be different. But as of right now, there's no on-campus recruiting with the coaching staff. Okay. This now is our first time to contact, just so we can know a little bit more of when the coaches can actually reach out to you, send you emails, text message, phone call. The first time that they can reach out to you in Division 1 and 2 is June 15th after your sophomore year. Okay. So you just finished your sophomore year. It's June 15th. You could get a phone call. You could get an email back from a college coach. All right. We can't wait till then though. All right. If you're a freshman or a sophomore right now, you should be sending them emails still. Now they can't reach back, but if they're interested, I promise you they'll reach out to your club coach. And that's why I say they're your biggest resource right now. If it's after June 15th, like it's great. Then you can contact them yourselves and you can send them emails and go and do as much as you can to connect with them and find out if it is the right fit for you. First time to get on campus with on-campus contacts and visits is then August 1st before your junior year. So it's just a month and a half after you're able to talk to them, you can start to set up those visits. You get 5 official visits that you're allowed to take, where the schools will pay for you to fly in or drive in and pay for you and your family to be able to come visit their schools. Unofficial visits is when you actually pay yourself. So you actually are the ones, you and your family are responsible for getting there. And some schools still do that a lot because we do have a budget. Universities have budgets to make sure that how much we can spend in the recruiting process. So, sometimes they'll fly you in, sometimes they'll ask you to come unofficially and you go get on campus on your own. And that's starting on then August 1st. But you can unofficial visit, you're able to meet with them, be able to do everything you can on campus like it would be an official visit. You just paid to get there and all your expenses were paid by yourself. Division 3, first time to contact a recruit is at any time. All right. There's not the same rules as Division 1 and 2 on the June 15th. You're a freshman, you in Division 3 likes you, Division 3 school, you can contact them. You can email them, they'll email you back, they can call you, all that kind of stuff is a go for Division 3. First time for on-campus contacts, so official, unofficial visits is after January 1st of your junior year. So that's then pushed back a little bit compared to the Division 1 and 2. Division 3 a lot of times does recruit a little bit later in the process than for Division 1 and 2, but they could recruit earlier. It's up to the individual school and the individual coach what they want to do through that process. Then you have NAIA and the NJCAA, the junior colleges. They can contact at any time also, but they do start later in the process too. So they're not usually reaching out to earlier, in your high school career, in your freshman, sophomore years and stuff. They're waiting a little bit later to find their players as they go through their process as a staff. So there are the main rules and regulations. It is important that that it could change at any moment. It's just like anything else, like our clubs right now with training and everything else in high school soccer, it's all changed, right? And so their rules and regulations could change too. They could pull it and dead period's over for Division 1 or they could extend it and it could be longer. So we need to be ready to make sure we're having live streaming and video footage of games and stuff for the college coaches so they can watch it, because they're not stopping just because of this. They're still going. They're still recruiting. They're still committing players that they didn't get to meet with in person, but they're doing Zoom calls. They're having them watch their video. They're having them on campus on their own, doing all that stuff and committing players through this whole process still. So we need to know that. Okay, next. When and what to do. All right, this is an important one. This is where people, and listen, this is for every year here, but if you started later, it's okay. I want you to know that it's okay. So you can start your junior year, you can start your senior year and still find a great school and a great fit for you. But if you're a freshman and you're starting right now, like this is what you should be looking at and doing. You can look forward. We talked about doing our research and making our top 10 list as a freshman if you can. Then you communicate with your club coach and advise on the appropriate level of play for you. Like, am I Division I elite? Am I Division II? Am I Division III? Like, and you figure out what's best for you. They can help you through that. That's what our coaches are for. All right. We need to create a player profile and a highlight video if we can. So if you have one, awesome. Let's do it. Let's make it. Your profile should be made. You should have it with so when we're out at fields, the college coaches can see it, but you need to be able to have it online so you can then attach it as a PDF or whatever, however you want to attach it on your emails that you're sending to these coaches. So we need to start building those player profiles for us. We need to create an NCAA Eligibility Center ID and profile. The link is right there, and we can send this out also to everybody else. We can email it out to everybody and have it for the club, but you have to go on that. That is a guaranteed. If you want to play NCAA, you have to be cleared through the NCAA Eligibility Center. So you have to go create a profile. It does cost money, but there are ways. If you can't afford it, you can get a waiver, and you can apply for a waiver and go through it if you can't afford it. But it does cost a little bit of money to sign up for it. And what you'll be doing then is sending in your high school transcripts, your SAT, ACT test scores. You'll send that to them, your final transcript, like when you're graduated, all that has to go to them to get cleared before you actually can play in college. And then if you have your top 10 list and your schools that you're interested in, and you and your club coach cross-referenced it and it works great, start emailing them. Like, email the coaches, let them know. Now, they can't respond to you yet unless they're Division III or NAI or junior college, but they at least have it and they'll read it. And then the club coaches can be able to talk to them about it to see if they're interested or not, and they'll come watch you play. All right. So we got to make sure we start that if we can freshman year. Sophomore year, we want to keep updating our college coaches with all those emails. And at that time, you might be updating your top 10 list. So our target list. So those could have been updated. You could say, you know what, the schools told my club coach they're not interested, or this other school reached out and said they're very interested. So we need to keep updating those target lists as we start going through this. We need to keep attending the showcases. We need to go to the ID camps. We need to then take our PSAT as soon as we can, so you have an idea of what that is. So that is your practice SAT test, and it goes through your school, and you can sign up for it and get that done and take it. The earlier you take it, the better. Some people put off taking the SAT and the ACT till later. Earlier is better. Take the PSAT your sophomore year, get that updated into your eligibility center, and keep sending everything you can when you do have it. Junior year, then, now you can start communicating with them, right? We can start talking to them. We can text them. We can email them. I would recommend this. Just know this. And there's a lot of people out there that tell you just blind call, like cold call these college coaches. I don't recommend it very much. All right. I would say email. All right. Send the email. Unless the college coach has gave you their cell phone number or their number to call and said, call me, or told your club coach to call you, you should email first. All right. Have your club coach set that up and say, hey, like, do you want them to call you and stuff like that? And they'll say yes or no. If you just cold call a college coach, they're probably not going to know who you are on the phone for the most part. So keep sending the emails, pound the emails, send it to them. When I was working in college, I was getting 500 emails a day from players. You get a lot, but you get the ones that stand out that you want to read, but you got to keep getting them. And then the players that we're recruiting, I flag and read every single one of them. So you got to make sure you keep sending them. All right. You'll start then on August 1st, taking your visits. So the ones that you connect with your coaches and you say, yes, you want to go do this. They're interested. It looks awesome. Let's go do either official or unofficial. Make sure we're taking the SAT and ACT, because some schools would want you to have the SAT and ACT before you go visit. Now, with the pandemic right now, we can't take the tests have been canceled. So I think they've waived it for right now on going to go when you're going to visit, even to get into school and academic stuff. They've waived it for right now. But for the most part, it used to be like, okay, you at least have to have taken the PSAT or have a date signed up that, yes, I'm taking SAT on May 15th or whatever it is before you can come on your official visit, and they would pay for it. keep attending those showcases and ID camps. We have to keep getting in front of them. Get in front of them. Let them see you. Like, even if you didn't have a great game, like, it's okay. You have to keep getting in front of them so they can see you over and over again. Most coaches want to see you multiple times. They're not going to see you once and then make a decision on you. They're going to make sure that they see you multiple times at multiple events before they say, yes, we're moving forward. We really like this player. And then they want to talk to you to make sure that you're the right fit as a person too. Okay, senior year then. You get in your senior year now. Now you're starting to apply for the school that you want. Maybe you still haven't narrowed it down or made a decision yet, which is okay. You send multiple applications to schools that you're interested in to see which one you get accepted to. On October 1st, we apply for the FAFSA. So the FAFSA is our financial aid from the government. They've now enhanced it. You can qualify for more. Every school wants you to do that to see if you do qualify for money, because then you can package it with everything else, with your soccer and academics and stuff as you do it. So apply for it, see if you get it. Got to do that earlier the better before financial aid runs out. So October 1st should be applying for FAFSA. If you just type in FAFSA, FAFSA, and search it, the website will pop right up for you, and we'll get that out to you too. And then when you're done with your senior year, you have to send your final proof of graduation transcript to the eligibility center before they'll finally clear you to make sure you're eligible. And then they'll tell you eligible for Division 1, 2, 3, whatever you're eligible for. But you got to make sure that happens before you actually can start playing in college. Okay, this is the fun one now. So we got myths versus facts. So there's a lot of times people think there's certain things, and it's really not that way at all. Like, and this is from years of going through it, like talking to parents, like recruiting parents, being a recruiting coordinator. I build relationships with players and families, and it's so funny to hear some of the stories you get. But first one, myth is that college coaches only want to speak to the recruits. Now, they do want to speak to the recruits a lot, but they do want to also speak with parents and family members, especially when finances become involved. You're going to have different packages. Everyone will be different. And so they're going to have to talk to the family members about what is affordable, what isn't, what your FAFSA numbers are, like all those kind of things as you go through this, which need to go through family members, not just the recruits. Most coaches like to build a rapport with the actual families. Like, they want to know what the family's like. They're recruiting not just the player, but the entire family. So when you come on visits, they want their family members around. Can they get to know you? Can they hang out with you? What type of family is this player coming from? And they really want to know that. So it's more than just the player, and it's not just on the player, but they do need to stay on top of it. The players the ones that send the emails. Like, being a college coach, I wanted to get the email from the player, not the parent. But then down the road, I want to talk to the parent and get it when finances come, or when just to get to know them, about their background and about them as a family and as people. So every recruit receives a full scholarship. I think you go through this, and we are an equivalency sport. So no, we are not on full rides. There are some. The elite of the elite will get full rides, but there are a lot of players that get full rides, full like academic packages, soccer packages, financial aid packages that are all put together where you have a full ride, but it's not just full soccer money. So the college coaches do the best that they can to make it affordable. So being a good student is so important, starting as early as you can. You have to be good on your grades, because when you get down to it, you're finding out if you have any academic scholarship will be super important for the coaches to know. Like, okay, here's the soccer money we can offer you. Here's the academic money you qualify, if any, and here's the financial aid that you qualify, if any. And can we put them all together? The NCAA will let us know with our certain limits. And you say, yep, we can. Here's what the bottom dollar is. And believe me, everyone knows it's about the bottom dollar for families, especially during the pandemic right now, right? During these times, it's hard. So it's all about the bottom dollar. So can you, as a student athlete, be able to take care of your grades, take care of your testing, obviously be great on the field, and try to package everything together to make it as affordable as we can. But not everyone is on a full ride. Recruit social media presence doesn't matter. Big myth. Everybody out there, if you're listening, college coaches will start following you on social media. Okay. If you're getting recruited, if they like you, if they like you as a player, they're going to look at your social media. And we said at the beginning, this is a brand now. This is about your brand, right? Your social media is your brand also. That's what you're putting out there. So that's what we're learning about. And there are some horror stories out there of college coaches of what they've seen of players on social media. Know this, if you put something out there that is not what the coach likes, they won't recruit you. It'll stop that moment. So if you put it out there and you said something, you retweeted something, you like whatever you posted and put whatever image you did, and it's out there and it's seen, that they're looking at it, that's what you're going to do when you're their player in college. So if you're doing that now, it's the same thing that's going to happen when you get to college and go through that. And now you're part of their university, their college. So you got to make sure your social media presence is what you want it to be, and make sure that it doesn't hurt you through this recruiting process, because it can, but it can also enhance. You can have some unbelievable social media and it can enhance the recruiting process as they learn more about you. Now, also know this is not just the players. Mom and dad that are out there, family members, like they will follow those too. And if there's something out there that does not agree with what their ideals are for their program, like it could change everything. Because again, I said they're recruiting the entire family, not just the player. So we got to be careful with what goes on social media. It is serious. Okay. For the future now, I want you to know, so as we start asking questions and everything, so we will have these different workshops. We will be able to get together. I will send out newsletters, talk about, how to write your initial recruiting email, preparing an initial phone call with a college coach, which can be intimidating, but just know college coaches, they do this for a living. Like the idea, every time I spoke to a player on the phone, I dictated it. I led it. I asked the questions. I made sure they felt comfortable. If they wanted their parents on the phone, I said, please have them on speaker also. But like I made it as comfortable as possible. So you need to be ready for preparing for that initial phone call. Okay. And we'll also go over importance of your highlight video and game footage, what they're looking for, what they want. Every coach is different of what you want from a certain player. They have different formations. They have different characteristics they want in those different players in those different roles. So we'll go through that later. Also, what the parent's role is in this recruiting process. We've hit on it a little bit on the role of the parent, like how important it is and what to do, but then also what not to do as a parent. I've sat on sidelines with the parents sometimes at these events because it's so packed, and just to be honest, I wanted to pull my hair out with what some of the parents are saying, and it definitely can turn some coaches off if they don't turn a deaf ear to it. So you got to make sure we know what the parents are doing in this process, and then what to do after committing and signing to a school, because that's also super important too. You start getting into this and you find the right fit. You're happy with the school, with the coaching staff. Now what? Because it doesn't end there. There's so many stories out there of players they committed and then their game dropped. They didn't keep developing. They didn't keep working because they felt like the end game was the scholarship and finding the school when it shouldn't be. That should be now the beginning. It's a new beginning for you. You're going to go on and play at this school and have an unbelievable experience after you found the right fit. Now what? Now we have to keep working. But those will be things that we will keep hitting on in the future with these different workshops and keep adding for our program here at FC Tucson. And I mean, now it's to a point where we're going to be able to ask questions. I want to be able to give you guys some time to chime in. I'm here to answer anything that you want through this, knowing that we do have some of those other workshops and stuff that we'll answer more questions in specific details. But you can see at the bottom right there is my email address through the club. So you can always send me anything. If you have specific questions yourself, I can help you. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure I can help all of us find the right fit. It's about finding the right fit, and everyone's different. I told you everyone's unique. Your journey's unique. Let's find what's best for each of us, and that will keep enhancing our club then here on a whole. And that's it. Let me get out of the screen sharing. There we go. Okay. Let's open up the chat. Okay, first question I have that I'm reading here is, what about seniors that only have a year left but don't have a schedule or games because of COVID? So know this, like the coaches also know that. So it's pretty tough. Like, do you have any video footage of yourself playing at all? Like, they'll want to see whatever they can to be able to start going through this and learning as much as they can of you. And then, do you have any live stream? Are we playing any games? Some teams are training right now. Can you video a training session? Have someone in the club video your training session for them. They just want to see you play because they can't be in contact with you, or be out there themselves. So can we get anything possible and get that to them? Signed up for the eligibility center, but states they're not certified until the college looks them up. What does this mean exactly? So the eligibility center, you have to just get certified totally. And then schools when they're interested in you or they are recruiting you, they put you on their list. So at the school, so it's called an IRL list. And we then tell our compliance office, we like these 7 players new players that we're recruiting, and we track the players in the NCAA. So then our compliance office, each school's compliance office can follow you and say, no, you still need to do your amateurism form. You still need to turn in your transcript. You still need to take your SAT. And so that the schools can then follow you as you go through that process. But until the schools start following you, you just need to do your blanket stuff through the eligibility center, get it all taken care of. So then you are cleared at the end to be able to play any Division I, 2, or 3. What if you have no social media presence is the next one. I don't think it can't hurt you, obviously. Say you're a private person, you don't want it out there, it's perfectly fine. Like they'll probably ask you, hey, what is your Instagram? Or stuff like that to see, and you can just tell them, no, I don't have one. And then coaches will always ask, okay, so tell me why don't you have one? Why did you do this? Or if you do have a social media presence and you put something on there, they'll be like, wait a second, why did you put that on there? So it definitely won't hurt you. The coaches shouldn't look at that as a negative for sure. Okay, next one. Well, I was at U of A. Did I use any recruiting database such as Instat or some of that platform? We definitely used Instat. So we used Instat all the time. We used it as a team. So we didn't use it recruiting because when we were there, like it was just coming out that a lot of the clubs and teams started using it more. So we used it for us in our own recruiting, like our own purposes for scouting, watching other teams, watching us, seeing, what we do as individual players. So we used it that way, but it's getting so large that yes, absolutely. Instat is a big one. The other like recruiting databases that are out there, I can't say that they use them all the time. A lot of them use them for camp stuff. I know a lot of the big schools would use the recruiting databases. If you were interested in a player, they would use your email and send you email like for camp info, not necessarily as a recruiting part of it. But if you went to their camp and then they loved you, then there you go. You got in anyway. And then they start recruiting you anyway that way. But I will say I was at a mid-major school in Texas for 3 years, and we definitely used the recruiting databases that were on there. When I was at a Division II school, also, I coached men's Division II in Florida, and we used it. Now, we use it just to get the initial interest. So we would use it, see a player, oh, okay, they're interested. Let's go see them in person. All right. And right now, obviously we can't do that, but it would be like, let me watch a full game. So you use that stuff to help go through that. But not all the schools do use them. So someone asked me if they'll be able to see this PowerPoint will be available for reference, and absolutely, we'll make it available to whoever wants to see it. To definitely want to help as much as possible for everybody. So we will make sure that, you have the info. So it's not like you had to write it down or see it. We're going to make this accessible for everybody because
No.
the goal is to make sure that we all find the right fit and find a great home for us at the next level. So I will definitely make sure that everyone can have this. How important are the programs like the NSCA? Yeah, the recruiting databases stuff. Yeah, so we just talked about it a little bit. So at U of A, I did not use them. Okay, just so you know that. So I think the elite programs, the top 25 programs, maybe, but not necessarily. Like they would go recruit at events, see you in person, do those kind of things, find the players that way. But there's so many schools out there. You saw 333 Division I women's programs. There's a lot of them that do. There are. It can't hurt to have another platform, to have your info out there. But there's also other ways to do it. You can have your own website, right? You can have your own like stuff that you have they just out there. And then you can send that in your emails to your coaches the same way. As long as they're getting the footage and the video of whatever you have, like they want to see it. So does it have to go through that website? Like there's not a lot of coaches that go scour the website and just look through it. Like we used to get emails all the time from it that this player is interested in us. Well, I would rather have the personal email from that player than from the website, the recruiting website. So I would want to make sure that I actually got the email from them individually. That means that would tell me as a college coach that you did the research and you really, really like us. You just didn't sign up for this recruiting database website and say, click on schools. Like, oh yeah, I like all these schools. Send them to those schools. I want to know that you're as interested in us as we are as in you. Send me a personal email with all the details saying everything you can, like that you know about us. That maybe you know at U of A, maybe you knew the history and tradition of Bear Down, of what that means and those kind of things. And so like anything like that to catch our attention, but like I want a personal email from you and not just from go checking on this website for random players. But to say the least, though, there are schools that do use them, like for sure. Have in here, what databases do you recommend? There's the NCSAA. There's other ones that are out there, and we can get a list out of different ones that you can go and do. Something that I always thought when I was a college coach, I thought was really, really awesome. The teams that actually had, can't remember which website it was now, but it was like a team profile sheet with all the players on it and their video links to it. And then you clicked on it and it took you straight to this website, and it would show all the like your info, your teammates' info, and email account, your parents' names, your home address, like all that stuff was on there, but as a team, not necessarily individually as you as a person. Like I think as a club, we should really make sure we're doing that, that we're getting it out there as much as possible so these coaches can see us and get coaches to be around our players as much as we can. Any other questions? Anything you want me to add, boss?
No, it was great, Paul. I've been in the college game, junior college game for 20 years, and I learned a couple things today. So I think one thing people need to understand is these things change. The rules, the way things are done. You mentioned the pandemic, of course, change sometimes month to month, every 6 months. Definitely every year. And it's great having a resource like yourself. And of course, for those who don't know, your wife is heavily involved in college softball. So you're staying up to date now. And last time I heard, I thought when you had to take a compliance test on all this stuff, right? Isn't it like a 400 page? Or it's a 400-page manual with like a 200.
So
what's that?
Yeah, every year you have to retake your compliance test and know the rules, and then they have all the updated new rules that will be in there, which it changes all the time, right? You have the new rules for social media that are now in there. You have new rules like they go in all the time that they update, kind of tweak, adjust, those kind of things. So you have to make sure you stay on top of that. And a lot of parents don't know the rules. And so like, there's so many times I could tell stories about parents coming up to talk to me at games. And I'm like, listen, I can't talk to you right now. And I didn't want to hurt their feelings because I really loved their son or daughter as a player, but I couldn't talk to them because it was breaking the rules, and other teams, other coaches were there watching. And so you had to make sure, like, like there are certain rules that they can and cannot do. There's only a certain amount of times they can evaluate you in a year also. So just know that, like, in a year, there's only 7 contacts and evaluations in 1 year. So if they went to your President's Day tournament coming up in February, right? That's one. So that counts as they watch all 3 of your games or 4 games, whatever you get.
Okay, I'm not sure if we lost Paul. Did anybody else get frozen on Paul besides me? It looks like, Paul, you there?
Yeah, you got me?
Okay, you froze for a second for me. I'm not sure for everybody
Sorry.
else.
Sorry.
No problem. Well, and the point I was making is, of course, that you stay up to date. So we have a great resource for our players. I can't think of a better resource that any club in the country has than somebody who's been in it for 15 years and is still connected to it. So, it's something I encourage the parents and the players, to use. Their club coaches know some, but I don't think many of us are as well versed in it as you are. So we're going to lean heavily on you, especially over the next couple of years. There is another question here. The question is, what if the schools you are interested in as a player are not or don't attend showcases the team's playing in? So
Yeah, so it's great. Like, so, and it happens a lot, right? You go to a showcase, but say you want to go out east, go to East Coast, right? And your schools aren't out here. Some schools don't have massive budgets to recruit either. So they're not going to be there. Have to make sure you get the footage of it. Got to make sure that either if the tournament themselves aren't filming them or live streaming them or recording them, then you got to make sure we have someone either with the club or your parents just say, you know what, I gotta pay for someone to come out and record this for my player to be able to get to seeing, and because they're going to want to keep seeing that. And so you're going to have to go see it. I spoke to someone today that was a senior, right? That was injured right before the pandemic happened. So was out for 6 months. Then the pandemic happens. And so they've been out this whole time. They haven't found the right school. They were really nervous and like, oh, I'm going to miss out. And I'm like, you're not. You're going to be able to find the right fit. You just have to keep looking now. They just attended Surf Cup up there in Phoenix. They got some footage and they got it to the coaches. Like, so they're able to get it out there. Like, you just have to stay on top of it. You have to find what's right for you. Everyone's different, right? Some people need scholarship. Some people do not need scholarship. All that stuff goes into it. You need to be as upfront to the college coaches as possible. Like, if you don't need soccer scholarship, you're already accepted, put that in the email. Tell them on the phone. Let them know. It changes everything. Changes the perception of the conversation, of the process, the recruiting, if you let them know up front. If you tell, like, it probably will turn off some people if you say, hey, I have to have a full scholarship right away. And that's the most important piece. Some of the coaches will be like, I don't know if you really want to come here then. But like, if that's the truth, you need to go about the part saying, okay, we need to do everything as possible to make it affordable for my family. Like, we can't afford much. Like, so it has to be financial aid. Fill it out. Like, before you just say to them, I need a full soccer scholarship, say, I qualify for this for financial aid that I found out on October 1st. I found out that I did all my research on your website for the university that I qualify for this academic money already. If you do. So I'm at this. What can we do? Like, those are the ways of how you approach it with these coaches, without just saying, I need a full scholarship off the bat of soccer, all soccer money. Because if you go back to those tables, I mean, you see it is definitely, there's not a lot of money that's out there when they're trying to fill their rosters and make their teams. Okay. If you attend a D2, D3 or Division One, still try and recruit, will Division One still try to recruit you? How often does this happen? It's definitely not like it is in like football and basketball and those sports. Like, if, they're trying to steal players and stuff like that. But if you like actually attend a D2, a D3, and then you decide you want to go Division I, you go into the portal, like the transfer portal it's crazy these days how much, I mean, it's like you guys are free agents. You guys have the leverage now, where before it was like, I don't know who's available. Like the schools actually have this transfer portal. They see who is available looking for new homes. And so like myself, I used to look through it every single day to see who is now in the transfer portal that we could go recruit, even to U of A. So we'd be like, okay, like these players are available, and you can like make it specific. Okay, I'm looking for a Division II player to come Division I, and you can go through it. So if you're looking to go a school, I would say you go to D2, D3, NAI, junior college. It does not matter. Like go kill it. Like be the best that you can be. And I promise you, a Division I school would, and if you went in the portal or you finished your junior college in 2 years, like you're going to get recruited. Like you are a good player. You're playing at that level. They're going to look for you. And again, then you got to make sure like you do a really good job at those schools. I mean, and Dave can tell you exactly. I mean, he has great players come through, played for 2 years, kill it, win national championships, and go on to big time programs. Like that's their journey, and which is awesome. And at the end of it, like they're now playing at UCLA, they're playing at Penn State. Like it's amazing. But their journey started different than your traditional. I just went to my Division I school right away, and it's not traditional anymore. Nothing's traditional. Nothing's the same anymore. It is find your path and go be awesome. Like my favorite are watching these players that, go to different schools, small schools in all sports. I mean, you go to a small school and then now they're crushing it in the NFL and the NBA. And like, you're like, where'd they come from? None of them, not all of them are like at UCLA or, at North Carolina. They have these different paths and they still able to have an unbelievable experience. Which I think is, which is cool that it's not traditional like it used to be.
Okay, so Paul, we've been here now. Can you do me a favor, Paul, and just in the chat, type in your email address again?
Yep.
Just so everybody can see it if they didn't get off the PowerPoint. We'll try to get that PowerPoint out as soon as possible. Unless anybody else has any other questions, we'll let you all go. The numbers today were terrific. We were over 80 for most of the presentation. So it's one of the most, I think we got a last question sneaking in there, Paul. Do you see it?
Okay. Do you have recommendations about filming, as in if parents film, how it should balance focus on player versus wider field view? Are there sample fields or films out there to get a great idea of how to get useful footage? So there's one thing to get like a highlight video, and the highlight video, obviously you can almost make anybody look amazing in a highlight video, and coaches know that, but it is super important to get your attention first. So zoomed in on players, just what the player's doing when they have the ball. But then it's really important to have a full footage for like what your coach would be watching the game. Like if your club coach or high school coach or even college coach is watching a game, scouting, watching it for their own team's purposes on how the team plays. So you'd be able to see almost the whole field or at least half a field. The key then is to make sure they know who you are on the field. Like you have to tell them, hey, I'm number 21. Sometimes you can't see the number. So I'm wearing yellow shoes, or I have long sleeve white on underneath my uniform if you can't tell. So they need to know that when the field is zoomed out. But I would recommend having a highlight video zoomed in for them so they can get an initial interest and go, yep, I like that. That's awesome. Or then from that, they're going to want to watch what you're doing off the ball. It's really important what you're doing off the ball, not just when you have it. So they're going to want to zoom out and see how you play within your team and what your team's doing. Like they want to know, is your team playing in a 4-4-2 or 3-4-3 or what they're doing? Are you pressing, not pressing? Like, and how do you handle that? Like all those things go into play.
Okay. Well, again, Paul, I think it's terrific. I thank everybody for coming out today.
So I got how long should a highlight video be? It shouldn't be too long. It should be within like 2 to 3 minutes of some quick clips to get them interested, because they're not going to watch for that long. But if all of a sudden you in the first couple highlights get super interested as a coach, you're going to watch the rest. So it's how can you get their interest as soon as possible with something on there, depending on what position you play. Like you're a forward, have you scoring some of your goals? If you're a midfielder, connecting every pass, making key passes into your attack, or you're a defensive player, like one-on-one stops, defending, tackling, heading, playing out of the back, like all those kind of things. And obviously goalkeepers making good saves. College is about, for goalkeeping, just so you know, is more about balls served into the box. So it's, are you making good decisions? Not just, are you making saves? Like every college goalkeeper can make a save. Can you come collect a cross? Can you make a good decision on a ball that's whipped in the box on a free kick? All those things they're going to want to see. So we got to make sure we keep building those.
Okay, that may do it.
Okay.
See if we have any more sneak in. But again, everybody has your email. It's also on the website as well.
Yep.
All the head coaches of your players will have access to Paul as well. So, again, we really appreciate everybody taking the time to come out. As Paul mentioned, we'll be starting to do these on a more regular basis, and we might we'll probably end up picking more specific topics to address as we go through the process.
Everyone out there, send me an email if you have a question. Like, send it to me. I'll answer it. I want to make sure that we're all informed, we're educated, we're understanding. Like the more and more we do that, we have an open mind of what this is about, will help you individually as a player and as a family. Like we want you guys to have an awesome experience. Like we're trying to help you get to that next level. And just so you know, every level is an amazing experience. I've been at multiple levels, and it's an awesome experience, playing. I played at St. Louis University, and I loved every single second of it. And I made connections for a lifetime there. And so the idea is we got to find which is the right fit, the right school for you, because, it will be an amazing part of your life.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody. Again, we appreciate your time. Paul, thank you very much. Awesome stuff.
I'll send out some new stuff. I really want to get like a newsletter, like a recruiting corner educational newsletter that we can start getting out at some point with some info on certain things and details, and just to try to help us. So we definitely want to try to move forward with that if we can.
Sounds great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Paul. Everybody have a great day.